Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sarah Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today we're playing with the Winter Valley collection from our friends at Stamperia. We have pattern paper, chipboard die cuts, and rub-ons that perfectly coordinate so you can create beautiful cards for winter celebrations. I'm going to move aside the rub-ons and chipboard just for a second, and we can have a look at the Winter Valley paper pad. Now this has 10 double-sided 8x8 papers. Some of them have scenes, which you can use as is. You can also cut them apart, as I've done for this card right here. Then you've also got matching all over designs. You can see this here. So with the double facing pages, you can see that you've got everything totally coordinated. Now you've also got, besides the pattern papers, you have sheets with cutout elements. Here's one. Here is another one too. Now what I really like about these is that you'll have one side of the cutout sheet where you've got the illustration and a sentiment on here. On the other side though, should you choose to use this, you've got lots of open space for personalizing. So it's really up to you what you like to do. So you've got some smaller elements in here too. Now you also have on the inside back and the inside front of the paper pack a bonus 2 sheets with cutout elements. So here is the inside back cover, and then when I come to the inside front cover, you can see you've got more cutout elements here. So there is a lot in this one paper pack. Then to go along, you have a set of rub-on transfers. Now these are coordinating images scaled smaller than the ones in the paper pack, which make them a perfect fit for the cutouts in the paper pack or for the inside of your card. They're really easy to use. In fact, there's some instructions right here on the back, and of course I will show you how in today's webisode. And then finally, we have a pack of 62 chipboard die cut elements. Now, they're easier to see when I have them all spread out. So let's take a look. This is sheet 1 of 2. You can see again all of those coordinating elements. I like that you have a variety of sizes so that you can create some collages if you want to. Things work beautifully as card focal elements and also for the inside of your card too. So as you can see, we have a lot to explore today. This collection was a lot of fun to play with, and I've got a couple of card projects and some demos to share with you. So we have a lot to explore today, and I am so glad you're here. Come play with us. As soon as I saw this owl rub-on, I knew I wanted to use it as a card focal, and here he is, applied to the open area of the cutout from the paper pack. Now, I inked that cutout using the Velvet Fawn ink from Hunky Dory and then layered it onto a piece of plain tan cardstock, which has been edged with diamond dust, and that's going to give it this sparkle and shine. Okay, let's start our demos with the rub-on. So I'm going to move aside my card, and I'm going to bring in one of the cutouts from the paper pack. So this is the side that's a little bit emptier, I guess you would say. Here's the other side of it, and it makes a perfect background for my rub-on. So what I suggest you do when you're working with rub-ons is grab a pair of scissors and trim out the design that you want to transfer. So that's going to keep things a little bit easier to handle. Do keep the liner sheet on the backing piece just as long as you possibly can. And then what I like to do is kind of fold up a corner of that top piece so it gives me something to hang on to, because you don't want to touch the back of the rub-on. It's a little bit sticky and it will stick to your hands if you're not careful. Then you kind of want to figure out where you want it to go, position it down, and then smooth this down with your finger. And I'm going to smooth it down pretty well. It does have some stick on it, so that means it's not going to be sliding around. But I need to transfer this, and for that I like to use a bone folder. So I'm just going to come in here and burnish this design like so. Make sure that I get all of the edges and sides of this, all of the detail there. And then I'm going to grab this with my folded up portion and slowly walk this back. And this way I can make sure that everything has been transferred. If it doesn't transfer, I can make sure to put it back down and go back and burnish it again. But it looks like I've done it the first time. So easy to do. And I love that it gives you not only another way to personalize your card focals and the insides of your cards too, but it does add another kind of layer of dimension in there as well. So coming back to the card, again, once I've transferred our little owl onto this cutout, I inked the edges and then put it down onto a piece of cardstock that has been diamond dusted. So let's talk about diamond dust. And diamond dust is a very fine, clear, crushed glass. And glue is all you need to add it to your paper. So you can see what the jar looks like. Even though it's glass, it doesn't cut you. So you don't need to worry about that. Very easy to use as well. Okay, I'm going to bring in a couple of things here. Some scrap paper. I'm going to open this up, kind of like when you do embossing, heat embossing. So this is going to catch my excess diamond dust, and I've got just a scrap of this beautiful pattern paper. Now what I'm going to do is just add a bit of glue to the edge. And I'm using just my standard glue stick. I'm going to run this along the edge here. Don't need a whole lot. Then open this up. And I'm going to sprinkle on my diamond dust. Again, a lot like heat embossing. You can be quite generous here because of course it's all going to go back into that scrap paper. And then tap this off. And this can get funneled back into the jar, but there you can see that beautiful sparkle and shine. And then all you need to do is just let that glue dry and you're ready to put it to use. So that's what I have done here on the card front, just going around all of the edges there and then positioning my rub-on owl cutout right on top of that. And that's my card focal. So I've also inked one of the sentiment cutouts here, added it to the card front, plus a flower cutout. Now this is from the inside front sheet of the paper pack, just trimmed around the outside edge and popped it up with a bit of foam tape. Then I have some of the flower chipboard elements here. I covered the card front with red cardstock, and that's from the Sparkling Season cardstock set from Hot Off the Press, and that's where I got this tan cardstock as well. Those colors match really perfectly with the Winter Valley collection, so I've used them throughout today's webisode. And then I've got some of this Branches pattern paper on here, also inked around the outside edge with the Velvet Fawn ink. Then for my card inside, I have a die cut portion of one of the pattern papers layered with a red cardstock scallop square, and I've added some more chipboard and another cutout message. I wanted to show you these two cards side by side because I think it's a great example of how using almost the exact same layout can create two really different looks. So for both of these cards, I've got a large focal matted onto solid cardstock before being glued onto a pattern paper background. Also for both of these card focals, I've accented top and bottom, corner to corner, with embellishments, either paper cutouts or chipboard florals. And yet I think the two designs look quite different, but I think it's a great sort of card layout to use as you are mixing and matching your different papers and embellishments. So let's take a closer look at this design here. Now with this card focal, I've die cut a portion of the pattern paper. So remember this design here from the paper pack. And I've used one of Hot Off the Press's dies. Now this is from the rectangle die cutting set. So I've got a die that I've just positioned on here. Could also go this way, I suppose, if I wanted my card to read the other way. So I've simply die cut this and then used the coordinating nested scalloped design to die cut my cardstock frame that goes around here. A really quick and easy way to create your card focal and also to use some of those scenery pattern papers in a different way. I also added diamond dust to the edges of the card focal. I'll tilt that a little bit so that you can see, and then glued it onto that scalloped rectangle. Now the background is pattern paper, and I've got, of course, the chipboard flowers on the corners and this sweet little bird down here, as well as one of the cutout sentiments for my card message. Then for the card inside, I have another cutout. Now, this cutout is also from the paper pack, and it's this design right here. So as you can see, you can trim around the outside edges with your paper trimmer to have it be the square shape, or just grab your scissors and trim around some of those leaves up here, and you've got a second look. Then I've also added the chipboard bench and our little lovebirds, as well as a sentiment cutout from the paper pack. So a really fun and simple card design, and one that has a little bit of sparkle and shine to it. Now I've got another card project that I want to share with you, also using that diamond dust. Now for this one here, I've used the diamond dust to accent the chipboard tree. So I'm going to wiggle this a bit, and you can see the diamond dust is on the snowy parts of that tree die cut. So let's start with our die cut, and I'll show you how easy this is to do. And again, I'm going to be working with my scrap piece of paper here. I'll position my die cut right here. Now, instead of using a glue stick, for this one, I'm using some of the Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue. And I've got one of the fine tip glue applicators from Crafter's Companion. I love this little guy because I can decant some of my regular glue in here, and then I've got kind of less to deal with, I suppose, but I've also got a really fine tip applicator in here. This will make it really easy to apply the glue just to the areas where I want it to go. This makes it so much easier than with a glue stick or with other kinds of applicators. This just makes it so simple to do. So I'm just applying a bit of glue on there, and then again grab my diamond dust and sprinkle this on here. And then what I like to do too sometimes is just fold up that scrap paper, kind of press that down, make sure that everything is secured on there, tap off the excess, and then you can see that beautiful sparkle and shine on there. And again, all I need to do is just let that glue dry. It really doesn't take very long at all, and I'm ready to add my tree onto my card. Okay, I'm going to bring back in my card here. We can take another look. So I've simply added this onto the card front, which I've covered with some of that beautiful pattern paper. I've got a couple of snowflake rub-ons on here. I've also layered around the chipboard tree, and I've got this sweet sleeping fox. I've got a pile of presents. This is up on foam tape. And I have the bow die cut, which is just popped up here again with foam tape too, and another sentiment. Then for the card inside, I have a strip of leftover pattern paper and a couple of cutouts layered up as my card message. Now, one tip with this ornament die cut, instead of cutting out, so I cut around the outside edge, but instead of cutting out the inside portion here with this top of the ornament, I simply positioned it onto the same blue on my background here on this border, and it just saved me a little bit of time and fussy cutting on my card. Our final two projects both use the sidestep card cutting die as a card base, which is then decorated with some pattern paper and some of the chipboard elements. This card style is really easy to do, and it creates a very fun effect. So let me show you how to put it together, and then we'll take a closer look at the card designs. So this is the die that I'm working with. It's just one large die. One piece is all you need to work with. And this is going to give you not only your cutting guide, but also your folding guide here. And so what you'll do is simply follow the diagram on the back of the package, and you can fold up your card on the mountain and valley folds. to create your side step design, and it will look like this. So you'll have a large portion to decorate, and then you've also got these kind of stair effects on here. Now I would recommend you grab your bone folder again for this and use that to score those lines so that your design will lay flat. That's going to make it a lot easier to work with. Okay, let's come back to our card projects. Now with this one you can see, well actually with both of these I used all of my leftover paper pieces from the paper pack to decorate them. So for this card I've used a strip of the floral paper down at the bottom, and then I added the Merry Christmas cutout, which I inked with grayish ink, and that's going to help that pop out a little bit more. I've got it up on some foam tape too. I have these two sweet little sleeping deer down at the bottom, in the center, and overlapping a little bit. And I've got two chipboard houses on the side steps. And then for the card inside, I have a strip of cardstock and cutouts and chipboard. Now for our other Merry Christmas card, I started with a green cardstock card base, and that's using the Sparkling Seasons cardstock set. And then I used the side step die to cut a second step portion from what I had left over of this really beautiful patterned paper. And then I just glued it on top. Then the focal is a cutout using a square cutting die. And I've used the scallop square here. So I've got a much larger card focal here than I do on this one. So don't feel like you're limited to just this area in here. You can have it overlapping and still get a really fun effect with the side step design. The focal is this portion of the pattern paper, and I've got this edged with the diamond dust, and then I've got another sweet little deer here on top and a chipboard sentiment. Then for the inside, you can see I've got another cutout with a sweet little rabbit on there, and I've got a rub-on tree to accent that too. And so these are our two final card projects for the day today. A big thank you to our friends at Stamperia for today's projects and products. I think these have been just so much fun to work with and give you so many different options for creating winter-themed designs. Thank you to you for joining me here today. We're really glad that you're here, and we're so happy you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. Please do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately. You can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.